So CargoSense is a solution provider where we try and simplify our customer supply chain operations through combining measurement, automation, and collaboration. And when we say that, measurement can be anything from carrier events for shipments of goods to IoT devices. So we're not a hardware company, but we work with IoT data.
Okay.
So the goal is to build out a digital twin, loaded term, but
Big term around the industry.
When we say digital twin, I'll define it. It's synthesizing everything about a thing that you want to automate around. So in other words, I want to pull together all the information about a shipment that I need in order to do certain things with that shipment.
Okay.
Like maybe to make sure the shipment is traveling along its intended route, or make sure that a shipment is being properly stored. Say a pharmaceutical shipment, when it gets to this warehouse, it needs to be stored in a refrigerated environment. We want to make sure that happens. So you have to bring the information together from sensors, from what those warehouse locations are, what those constraints are, all together in one place. That's our digital twin. And then the automation is what we call digital agents. So in our platform, our automation is automating to make sure that a lot of the things that humans have to do with visibility platforms is done by software agents. And those software agents are watching every one of these events come through on the digital twin, checking those against their intended behavior. Like what are their responsibilities? What's that agent's responsibility? And then if it sees that it's deviating from that, raising an exception, ultimately getting it to a human's attention so that they can act.
Very interesting. And obviously, digital twin is a huge term around the industry right now. So I appreciate the clarification there, kind of the definition from your side of it. I mean, it's such a interesting thing because there's so many things too that are surrounding those shipments, as you mentioned, all the different types of things that you want to monitor. I'm curious though, I mean, visibility is like, another word like digital twin, I would say, right? Like everybody's saying, oh, visibility, we do visibility. But I mean, when we talk about visibility within the supply chain or within the logistics industry, I mean, what are we really talking about and what are we kind of evolving to and what are you guys helping to be able to enable that visibility?
No, that's a great question. So I think the idea of visibility is when something leaves a dock door, and you're the BCO, right? So you're the owner, and that product leaves your dock door. That's the last time you see it.
Yeah. We just hope.
And then eventually,
it ends up at the other side.
The consignee sees it. Right. And everything that happens in between is a black hole. Like you have no idea, right? You've got, anything from forwarders touching that, trucking drivers that may be drivers under contract for pulling the load. So you've got truck drivers, you've got trucking companies, you've got brokers, so imagine all the players around that. And that's just the first leg. And then if you're we do a lot of international shipments that our platform is overseeing. And so it gets to a particular airport and you've got a cargo handler, right? Who may not even be the airline. Because the airline's contracted a cargo handler at different airports to handle their cargo. You've got the warehouses and the airline folks in that warehouse. You've got, so then you've got the airline themselves, right? So flying the thing and landing. And then you've got the reverse side of that. You've got folks working in warehouses, you've got 3PL warehouses, all of these things involving the movement of that thing. I think when people say visibility, they want an aspect of being able to pull together all the information about what's happening to things in as real a time of fashion as possible, so that if something's going wrong, they can identify it, or even if at the end something was identified to have gone wrong, can we have this nice picture so that we can figure out what went wrong and prevent it from happening again, right? So to me, it's this combination of those things, which we talk about with visibility. But because when it's a black hole, like I don't know, it leaves and disappears. Any amount of look, you can see a dot on the map of where your pallets are is like, oh my gosh, I never knew they actually moved, right? They appeared at the other side. But no, I mean, but it's this ability of being able to have this visibility feels empowering. Until you're doing 100 or 200 or 1,000 or 2,000 shipments at a time. And then it's quickly overwhelming.
Yeah.
That's great on one shipment.
Right. Yeah.
So the next step in the visibility journey is what you do with the data.
Exactly.
And visualizing it isn't actually that useful at scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So there's not enough humans in these organizations to look at them. I had a senior vice president of a major pharmaceutical say, we have this amazing visibility platform that brings everything together in one place, and no one ever looks at it. And they've spent millions of dollars doing that.
Yeah.
And no one is ever looking at it.
Yeah.
Now, does that have no value? No, but it's amazing potential. But the key is what you do with that data.
Exactly.
And to us, this is where what we have is what we call a visibility operating system. And what it's doing is pulling that data together, that visibility data, to automate the analysis of, to determine when you should pay attention to it. So in other words, we can work with visibility platforms.
Yeah.
So we can pull you into that visibility platform at the right time.
Okay.
But what our platform's doing is automating the analysis of the information against the intention of what these things are supposed to be doing, what your air carrier is supposed to be doing, what your freight forwarder is supposed to be doing. What are your expectations around this? Making sure those are met. And if they are, that's great. You don't get notified. But in our system, even if that went well, we're collecting an amazing amount of analysis at every point. So it's not like saying today, people assume every shipment went well if they don't get called.
Yeah, if you don't hear about it,
they have no eyes on.
Yeah.
For us, every shipment is being overseen by an automated agent 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So it's proactively making sure it's doing the right thing. That we see as a value of visibility data is the ability of doing that analysis.
Yeah. And
then in aggregate, once you have all of that data in aggregate, you can build really nice, useful KPIs. Carrier scorecarding, 3PL scorecarding, transportation company, a specific scorecarding. So it really lets you say, are we getting what we're paying for? We pay for pharma rate on a particular airline.
Yeah.
Are they storing us at the proper temperature condition? Are they keeping us off the tarmac a certain amount of time? About $35 billion in pharmaceutical products die every year due to temperature during transport.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Right?
That's nuts. Yeah.
And that's a lot. And guess where that cost goes? To we, the consumer.
Yeah.
Because they're not absorbing that, right? So anyway, I just feel that to us, visibility is about what is about that synthesis of information, which is why I called it a digital twin. Because we're not like an NVIDIA digital twin where we're literally three-dimensionally animating the thing in real time, right? Yeah. Could it go that direction? You bet. Totally could.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. You get robotic systems like they have here with Zebra running through a warehouse or motion to AI, going through and building this very detailed picture of as things are moving through a warehouse. You could get to that level of detail. But who is going to use that level of detail?
Yeah.
And we're a 10-year-old company. We learned this very early on. 10 years ago, there were no real-time devices that could do this.
Yeah.
So we were working with loggers. And we said, certainly if people were logging temperature, say in pharmaceuticals, they'd want to log humidity, light, barometric pressure, shock, all this stuff. And so we worked with Toshiba Semiconductor to build a device that could log all that at a very high fidelity. And literally people were like, we don't know what to do with this. There was so much data.
Too much to look at, right?
It's too much data.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so we learned early on that it is in the analysis of this information, and then we've now kind of graduated, we'll say, to these agents which are embodying this analysis, kind of like you delegate to them. And they're going to let me know when I need to pay attention, when to get the human involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's such a great point, because there is like such a emphasis on visibility in the industry and getting all this data and all these things. But if you're not analyzing it, you're not leveraging it in the right way, then it's almost pointless in a sense, right? I mean, it gives you the opportunity to do more, but like you said in the example, there's collecting all this data and nobody's looking at it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's potential.
Yeah.
So we want to realize potential, right? Because that's where you create value.
Yeah.
Right? Value is created in the realization of potential applied to a business problem. And that's what CargoSense is doing for our customers, is we're doing that. And kind of in 3 broad verticals right now.
Okay.
High value freight.
Yeah.
Right. Things that you don't want to ever be lost because it's high value. Temperature or environmentally sensitive freight, like pharmaceutical products.
Yeah, I saw you guys have shipped over 1 million cold units. Or
the parcels.
Like
Yeah. That's with a major pharmaceutical. They move about 1 million parcels a year.
Wow. Yeah.
So imagine that 80,000 a month. At any point in time, you have 5,000 or 6,000 parcels moving. Through FedEx and UPS. How do you know when FedEx or UPS is mishandling a parcel with no sensors on board, by the way?
Yeah.
So we have automated that. How do you know when to engage FedEx and UPS into trying to find a parcel because it doesn't seem to be behaving the way you expect that parcel to behave? That's what we've automated there.
Interesting. Okay.
And then how do you use all of that data to better choose whether we use FedEx from UPS, from which origin to that destination, to do the lowest SLA possible, which is ground, right? But maintain a low risk score for that shipment. So in other words, we're going to get it there within the window of which this parcel will expire because of temperature, right? So it needs to be there in, say, 5 days. We want to make sure it's going to get there in 5 days. And so we're overseeing the shipment. But how do you do that? If that pharmaceutical were to move the, say, 30% of their shipments that go by air to ground, in addition to saving them millions of dollars a year in spend, the sustainability impact we calculated would be something like 3.5 million miles of a car driving down there.
Wow.
That they would save. It's incredible because moving from air to ground is like a 10x reduction in carbon emissions. Right? But those drugs are radically important to the doctor's office or hospital network that's receiving them. The patients need them. So but being able to say, well, you don't have to get a sustainability win at the cost of something else. Here, you can actually benefit financially and get a sustainability win and make sure that customer expectations are being met. As long as you analyze the data in the right way. And so we're delivering all of that on the parcel side. In addition to doing, and that we call those carrier only shipments. We only have carrier events. FedEx, UPS, and DHL Express give us very reliable carrier events. You know when something arrives at a station and leaves a station, that's what you see when you look at a shipment. And so those events are super reliable. Not so much for LTL. Not so much for total load either, right? So there's where sensors come in. But then you're talking about freight typically. Where you can afford a sensor on freight.
Right. Yeah.
But definitely not at the parcel side.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting stuff. And I mean, it's a great thing too that you're able to take that data and, like you said, see the potential and get the opportunities out of it. And like you said, I mean, you call out the things that, it would take you a long time as just an individual to try and comb through, or you probably might even miss or not even look into at some point. So, I mean, it's really great what you guys are doing on that side. Now, I'm curious, I mean, in the discussion on visibility, right, we talk about visibility within the industry and us having visibility into our own supply chains. But how does that visibility then come to translate to the consumer side, right? Consumers are demanding more visibility too, right?
They are, and Amazon has kind of spoiled us all in the exceptional level of visibility that they provide to us. Or, one of the things that they've done recently, which is actually super refreshing, which is, by the way, your package is going to be late. But by getting that, it makes me feel better about Amazon to know that they're going to be delinquent in delaying my package because they let me know.
They're being honest.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Because it seems like counterintuitive that we don't want to the sooner we let our customer know that something's going to be late, the more mad they're going to be. For me, it's like, oh, they're paying so much attention to me that they're going to email me and let me know that they were going to get it here today, but it's going to arrive tomorrow. And I'm super okay with that. Right. And it's I think that the way in which, and this is consignees in general, right? Like consumers are the ultimate end consignee, right? We don't call it ourselves that, but we're the ultimate receiver of things.
Right.
And the problem with supply chains is they're a chain. And so although the consumer gets the thing at the end, right? Or, in a doctor's office to be applied, right? Vaccines and things like that. The upstream supply chain and the inefficiencies of that, the lack of visibility of that, impact all of us every day in ways we don't even understand.
Yeah.
Right? When I think everybody did during the pandemic, when they're like, why is there no toilet paper on the shelves?
That's when supply chain became famous. Yeah.
And well, it's, the people are like, do you know how hard it is to pay to route toilet paper?
Yeah.
Dim weight on toilet paper is ridiculously big and light.
Right.
But you're still paying to move that stuff in a truck.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the lowest ranking thing you move. And when everything was vying for drivers to be able to move, they're going to be moving the most expensive things they can move.
Yeah.
And it isn't toilet paper.
Yeah.
People don't understand that not everything is treated equally. Higher value freight is more desired by carriers, right? Transportation companies, because they can charge more for those loads. If I can move a refrigerated load in my reefer truck, I'm going to be able to charge a heck of a lot more than a dry van shipping something. And, depending on how long that load is, and so people are vying for the best business out there. And when there's a lot of available resources to be able to do that, everyone's needs are being met.
Right.
But when they're not, whoa, those holes in the supply chain are felt really strongly by us consumers.
Yeah.
I think that, the pandemic is a horrible thing, and they always are. But the interesting thing about it to me was it opened up everyone's ideas to the complexity of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're talking about visibility. The pandemic gave the public visibility to what is the supply chain actually, right?
What is it? That it exists, and people have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And what is this? All these ocean vessels sitting off the coast of California. What is that? How do they even do that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And people kind of and there were these wonderful, pictures of, all of these choke points, right? We'd like to think that everything just magically arrives at our door because Amazon has given us the impression of it.
Yeah.
But they fight the upstream supply chain issues like crazy.
Yeah.
And at their scale, they can do that. But not every company can do that.
Right.
And not all supplies are like that. We think of critical components. We deal with IoT devices. We're not a manufacturer, but we sure work with them. And trying to get the various radios and various components necessary to build an IoT device, that was difficult during the during the pandemic as well. At the time, we needed all those devices.
Yeah.
Pfizer invested a huge amount of money in Controllant at that time to be able to get a real-time device for their vaccines that was reliable.
Right.
And and so there's lots of these companies out there where, it was super difficult during that time, but I think things haven't gotten better. It's just they've normalized again.
Yeah.
But I think everyone realizes we need more resilient supply chains.
Right.
Right. And, you talked before about all the things around a shipment.
Yes.
Our notion of digital twins doesn't stop with a shipment. It's just the one that we kind of started with.
Right.
But we're working directly with folks that are doing pallets, like the actual pallets.
Yeah.
As an asset.
Digital twin of that. Yeah.
Right? Like a plastic pallet.
Yeah.
And a digital twin of that plastic pallet. Well, guess what? That plastic pallet moves things.
Right.
A pallet is an incredibly important part of the supply chain. I would actually say it's probably the most important part of the supply chain.
One of it,
pallets.
yeah, absolutely.
It's more important than intermodal containers because more things move on pallets. We do 40 billion pallet moves a year.
That's
global.
Insane. Yeah.
40 billion pallet moves a year.
Yeah.
Global. We manufacture 5 billion pallets a year, almost all wood.
Yeah.
The average number of uses is 2.5 uses per pallet before it's destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to come up with something better there, I think. Right?
Like it's just huge numbers, right?
Yeah.
But the point is these are assets, and as a managed asset, and the twin around that asset. So imagine I've got a shipment now, but I've also got a pallet. And so I load my product on the pallet. What if the pallet itself had IoT in it?
Yeah, interesting.
And so then I can get visibility data for my product when it's moving on that pallet. But the asset manager of the pallet gets visibility data of the asset so they can better manage sending trucks out to pick up pallets and rebalance inventory
and use
around pallet pools.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a virtuous environment.
Right.
So if instrumented properly, pallets become any asset, right? An intermodal container can do this, a pallet can do this, a forklift can do this in a warehouse, right? I mean, these drones that are moving things around could be things that throw off measurement data so they know when they're moving a thing. But those things are in bins or pallets. Those intermediate bulk containers, right, of various sizes are the things that hold things.
Right.
Those are the ultimate point to us of measurement. And if measurement was happening there, then the cost of that measurement can be spread across the cost of all the shipments that ever were used in that IBC, right? That pallet or that bin. And so if that sensor lasts for 3 years, the cost per shipment for measurement is super low.
Right.
Remember, we're not a hardware company. We want to drive the cost of measurement as low as possible. Because then we can automate on the data we can deliver to our customers and to their either downstream customers and hopefully upstream provide the same kind of visibility to the downstream to them. This kind of automated analysis of visibility so that you know when things have gone wrong and know when things are going right. So
absolutely. So incredibly interesting stuff with you, Rich, and really appreciate you coming by and sharing all these insights from the visibility and digital twin, the big words floating around all of the trade shows, that everybody's attacking, and it really makes a ton of sense to be able to take all that data, harness it, and make the right decisions based on that. That's what you want to do ultimately, right? So it's great that you guys are developing and have developed this way to do that, and are finding those opportunities, as you said, within the data. So really appreciate you coming by, and great to meet you and talk to you.
It was wonderful to be with you as well. Thanks.
Definitely. All right. Have a good rest of the show.
Okay.
All right, so that was Rich Kilmer of Cargo Sense.